So it's really impressive to hear, like, okay, a contractual developer works as long as 3-4 years with a employer on remote basis. How super sourcing make this thing work that long? What kind of role it plays and the team of super sourcing plays in making this seamless working?
So it's not just contractual employees, Aditi. So when we hire for our clients, we try to understand what their hiring requirement is, right? Because if you fit a wrong person in wrong place, it doesn't work, right? And the industry of contractual workers and permanent workers are very different. Permanent, right? A person who's on contractual employment would look for multiple contractual requirements, right? And a person who is looking for a full-time job would look for full-time job, right? So we don't want to disturb that equilibrium, right? So and also client needs to understand this, what kind of commitment, what kind of work they want from a particular person. So if you want to build a team that is run by that person, right, it has to be an in-house employee, because you need to implant those values to that person, right? But if you want somebody who has to do a job, right, who has to do a job, right, so that person has to be, that could be an employee or a contractual person. So that is how we differentiate also. But there are always exceptions to it, right? There are certain contractual employees who do better than employees. There are certain employees who become contractual, like contractual people, right? So that
It's
is
about perfectly matching both the expectations.
correct, right? And it starts from hiring itself. If you don't hire right, if you don't let your client know what they need to hire for that particular requirement, then I think the half of the job is done when you educate them, right? Because after first month of job, right, it becomes very easy, streamlined. First month, if a resource is not suitable to the client, we know, client know, resource no, right? So and for a contractual employee, it's easy, right? Because he will find another contract. For a full-time employee, it's very hard to figure out another job in that duration, because the whole family depends on that person's income, right? So that is where we try to be very sure that person, if a person is, we are placing certain person on certain job, so we are very sure that that client has to be good enough to get that person that clarity, the understanding. So we let that interview process by ourselves itself.
Okay. But you are in a very hard industry, right? Hiring is very difficult. So, in that scenario where people are having multiple options available, full time, remote, every other company is having some perks to offer, how do you spot that talent which perfectly fits the client requirement and make that person to join and retain?
So let's divide into three parts, right? First is demand side of it. Demand is from the client side, right? So one thing that we try to do right is understand if client is clear what they want, right? That is the first part of it, right? If client understood what they want, then I think it becomes easier. Most of the industry that struggles with hiring side of it, it's a demand, price, tech stack mismatch, right? They don't know what they are trying to have, or they're trying to replace somebody who is already in the system for 5 years, right? So to replace that person is not easy. That that technology or that combination of technology would not exist in the normal course of hiring, right? So and they're trying to fill that requirement, not possible, right? So you need to tell the client what is possible and what is not possible, right? When you get that requirement, and if the pool is available, it's becomes like 50% easier to hire a person, right? Second is the culture thing that we discussed, right? If a company is known for its culture, becomes easier to hire. Third is your recruitment side of it, right? Now how you are pitching that value to the resource, or and how you're pitching that value to the developer, I think that makes or breaks that deal, right? So you have to transfer the client knowledge you have into the job description that the resource would do, what kind of benefits he get, and uh, how this job would be better for him, right? So that is how we do it. It's I think hiring has been done for more than a 20-30 years in this segment, right? So there is nothing new to it, but we forget the basics and how it's done. Obviously AI and different things have come into the picture, where they help us to process that thing better, but again the basics have not gone. It's the simple thing you need. If you know what you need to hire, you'll be able to hire. We have seen in our company also, right? If we have clarity on what we are hiring, it becomes easier to hire. You get those people in once you know what you actually want. Most of the, and again with big companies, the problem is there are too many people deciding what they want, right? So they are not on same page. So if a person is selecting a resource, then some other would decline that right? Because they don't see eye to eye. So first you need to solve that problem. First you need to understand what you need to hire, and that is where most of our time goes in.
So it is about, discovery also, like, what exactly the client is looking for, understanding that, and then understanding your talent, and then matching both the sides.
Correct.
That is how you make this thing work, to in fact spot the talent and to get hired and onboarded.
Correct.